Chapter 8. In the Garden. In June, the weather was hot. One evening, I walked into the garden. Mr. Rochester was there too. "Do you like this house, Jane?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I replied. "Soon, Adele will go to live at a school, Jane," he said. "Then I will not want a governess here. Will you be sad then, Jane? Will you leave Thornfield Hall?" "Leave?" I said quickly. "Must I leave Thornfield?" "My dear." Mr. Rochester stopped. He was silent for a moment. Then he said, "I am going to be married soon." "Oh, sir," I said, "then I must go far away from Thornfield, far away from you, sir." I started to cry. "I will always remember you, Jane," Mr. Rochester said. "Will you forget me?" "No, sir," I replied. "I will never forget you. I don't want to leave Thornfield, sir. I don't want to leave you." "Don't leave, Jane," Mr. Rochester said. "Stay here." He smiled at me. "I must not stay here, sir," I said. "You are going to marry Miss Ingram. I am poor. I do not have a pretty face. But I have a heart. It is a loving heart, sir." "Jane, I am not going to marry Miss Ingram," Mr. Rochester said. "She is rich. She is beautiful. You are poor. You are not beautiful. But I want to marry you. Will you marry me, Jane?" For a moment, I could not speak. At last, I asked, "Do you love me, sir?" "I do," he replied. "Then, sir, I will marry you," I said. And Mr. Rochester kissed me. "My dearest Jane," he said, "nothing can stop our marriage now. We will be married in a month, Jane." We kissed again. Then I said good night, and I went into the house. I went upstairs to my room. Later, I remembered my Uncle John Eyre's letter. "I will write to him in Madeira," I said to myself. "I will tell him about my marriage to Mr. Rochester. I am very happy. My uncle will be happy too." 4 weeks passed. Mr. Rochester was going to buy me many beautiful things. He was going to give me many presents. But I did not want these things. "No, Edward," I said. "I am not beautiful. I don't want beautiful things. I want you, Edward." It was the month of July. 2 days before our wedding day, Mr. Rochester went away. "I will return tomorrow," he said. "I love you, Jane." That night, I went to my bedroom early. My wedding dress and my wedding veil were in my room. I looked at them. "In 2 days, I will be Jane Rochester," I said to myself. Then I went to bed. But I did not sleep well. The next day, Mr. Rochester returned. He looked at me carefully. "What is wrong, Jane?" he asked.